Good afternoon. I am Patricia Chin, co-founder of VP Records. For those who love me and know me, I am known as Miss Pat. Thank you, the A2IM board, Richard Burgess, and membership for inviting me to speak today. I would like also to acknowledge the A2IM for recognizing past and future trailblazers in the music industry. I am grateful to be included among your ranks and to have received your Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015, the first female to receive this honor. I got my first start in business in 1958 with my husband, Vincent. We opened our first store called Randy's Record in Kingston, Jamaica. It was a 10 by 10 foot space inside a restaurant. It's been quite a journey, but the joy of doing what I love and I believed in, celebrating and spreading my culture abroad. This sustained me and still inspires me even up to this day. As I prepare this keynote message, I couldn't help but reflect back on the unusual world events and experience since our last meeting. I thought the best I could do with this speech is to encourage all of you to keep moving forward and to share my insights from my own experience. Today, we may face many challenges in the industry, and what you must remember that is in the time of crisis throughout history, that the greatest innovations have emerged. Over my 60 years in music, I had my shares of many hard times, and I'd weathered many storms, and also seen that innovation to the sales of many pre-recorded music firsthand. When I started business, two companies, RCA and Columbia, controlled the major distribution channel for music. They use the music to drive their sales. As you can imagine, popular music culture was dominated by the majors, and even in Jamaica. At that time, our one national radio station played imported American music most exclusively, in spite of the invention of growing Jamaican music and the jukebox. Vincent and I got our first start in the music industry and began to make our marks. I had discovered my talent as an entrepreneur early in life at the age of 12, selling rubber bands and marbles at school. This successful experience awarded me with enough money to buy my lunch. This formula of success and independence was later reproduced in my creativity to build a powerful independent music label. Vincent got his first job to service jukeboxes around the island, replacing the old records with the latest release from abroad. We made a deal with the boss to buy the old records and open our shop with those old used records as an anchor. Without formal business training, I had common sense and I learned on the job. Looking back, I had little idea of how I was invading. That was then a male-dominated industry. All Vincent and I were doing was to pay our bills and growing a business and growing a family. It was at this period in that my leadership abilities began to grow. In business, Vincent did not hold me back. He trusted my decisions, and as we learned, we grow together. At this time, the only woman I knew in the music business was Miss Sonia Pottinger of Tip Top Records. Most people considered women to be homemakers in those days. I didn't class myself as a woman doing business and dealing with the distributors and producers. There were always much to be done, and Vincent and I worked based on our individual strengths. I didn't see myself as running a music business was anything special or unusual. Similar to the women selling their fruits and vegetables alongside the store, I was only working to support our family. In 1962, Jamaica gained independence from England and created an opportunity for making our own music. Ska was developed and dominated domestic scene. Ska became a dance craze. Around this time, Vincent proceeded to make a song called Independent Jamaica by Lord Creator, which truly captured the spirit of the moment and gave us our first hit. Although music from abroad made up the lion's share of the sales, local music was starting to get airplay and support from our one radio station. Jamaican music was really on the go. Former Prime Minister Edward Seaga was Jamaica's Minister of Culture at that time, as well as a former music distributor. He arranged for the government to sponsor a trip to introduce Jamaican ska to the world. In 1964, we attended the World's Fair in Queens, New York, with a group of musicians and singers, including Byron Lee, Prince Busters, Leroy Sibbles, and Jimmy Cliff. Early in our time at 17 North Parade, Vincent pursued his interest of recordings and producing records. Studio 17 was born. This contained model was popular among the producers in Jamaica, like Coxsone Dodd, Studio One, Duke Reid, Joe Gibbs, Beverly's, Gregory Isaac. Among them, as the Studio One grows, my responsibility with the store and the customers also grew. My 20 years behind the counter at Randy's placed me in a key position between customers and producers. At this time, we were recording, mixing, mastering, and cutting the acetate and immediately test them downstairs. As they emerged from the studio upstairs, we had instant feedback from our customers in the store, making this connection with our core audience and a lesson that serves me well even up to this day. Around this time, I determined to develop a one-stop shop for the customer who came into my store to buy. I made a deal with the producer to purchase some of their products, as they were only selling their products that they made themselves. We also made the studio available for hire, and this was a smart major draw for the music. Producers like Lee Perry, Bunny Striker Lee, Winston Niney Hones, Black Disciples, the Scatolites, and many others booked the studio regularly and produced tracks with Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailers, Dennis Brown, Alton Ellis, Toots, Jackie Matu, and Augustus Pablo. And also booking the studio was Johnny Nash and his crew. They booked the studio for many weeks at a time. Sometimes Chris Blackwell would pass by selling Bob Marley's 45 records and Millie Small's LP, My Boy Lollipop. The music scene was centered at Randy's and was bursting with energy. Soon after that, we heard the music playing all around the world. Randy's, I believe, was and still is the heartbeat of reggae music. Producers, singers, musicians, distributors, buyers and sellers, record fans were all gathered at Chancel Lane. Chancel Lane was a street next door to Randy's Record Mart. It was called Idler's Rest. Idler's Rest was the hub for all music-related business. Contracts were being signed from foreigners from the UK and who came seeking new releases and new artists. Also, if the studio wanted a backup singer or a musician, they would just call downstairs and a job was available for them. One thing that continued to strike me these days on my various trips abroad to Spain, Cuba, Mexico, and France is that reggae music is loved and played worldwide. On my way to Alaska, as I disembarked off the ship, I could hear from the docks below a small band playing Bob Marley's One Love, One Heart to welcome us. I felt so proud and happy to see that my music had traveled so far to the ends of the world. Back in the mid-70s, Jamaica went through a period of political unrest. So we decided to relocate the family and the business to America. Ironically, Vincent chose Jamaica Queens, New York, as our destination. It was the sight of the World's Fair that had inspired such a hopeful moment for Jamaican music years before. We went from Jamaica to Jamaica and from Randy's to VP Records. As we arrived in the US in 1977, we established VP Records, named after our first initial, Vincent and Pat. And literally, we had to start all over again. At this point, our children came in the business full time as they were old enough to play a greater role, even while they were attending school. I am forever grateful for my sons, Clive, Chris, and Randy, and my dearest daughter, Angela, who are still in the heart of the music today. To my faithful staff who followed us from Jamaica and stayed with us, the blend of family and talents, devoted people, was our special sauce. And with Randy's in Jamaica, VP grew and became the company we are today. The lessons I learned at Randy's were the foundation for building VP Records. I have always believed that helping others is the best formula for success. Building a business on fair practices, also making strong connection with the customer, because our core audience has always been and still is the building blocks to any greater success. And where possible, build a community, for this is more important as ever, especially an independent one. We were building on diversity and inclusion long before those words became popular. In closing, I'm sure you want to know, how do you make a hit? Or how do you spot on it? I would say to you, a hit is not developed in the studio or in the boardroom. It comes from the street. Trends come and go, and discovering true great talent is rare. So, how do you build a business during a pandemic? These have been my experience and best insight I can share with you. Lean times pass. More than 60 years later, my business has weathered many storms, and VP Record is still here. Throughout my business, I have learned that music really is the bond that draws and brings people together. And I've seen reggae music, my music, spread throughout the world and became a global phenomenon. It makes me so proud to see how many people have embraced what we started so long ago. May we continue to carry this independent music for many years to come, sharing the spirit of community and agency. I truly believe that music is life. Music gives life, inspires life, and carries endless creative opportunities. In this point in my life, I am looking for ways to give back, to extend the legacy of Jamaican music heritage, with the goal of preserving and promoting reggae music through education and charitable endeavors. So we started a V&P, Vincent and Patricia Family Foundation. Our mission is to service underprivileged youth through music, music education, and academic resources in Jamaica and the Caribbean diaspora. I recently wrote my memoirs, Miss Pat, My Reggae Music Journey. And because I wanted to give my grandchildren and great-grandchildren a future generation to know something about my experiences and to share my experience and that of my late husband. Also, the examples of my mother and my two aunts and other strong women who inspired me. So part proceeds of my book sales will go to the foundation. For more information, please visit our website, vnpfoundation.org, or follow us on VP Foundation on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you all for listening, and thank you A2IM for allowing me to share my journey. And as I leave you with this quote from Mother Teresa, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Let's stick together as a society, as an industry, as a community, and above all, let's stay independent. Thank you, and my best to you all.